Yo, what is up everybody, it's Gray here, and welcome back to another episode of the Naruto Fandom Opinion Dissection once again. I want to say thank you for all the support on the previous episodes, you guys really seem to enjoy them, and I shall continue. As you can tell by today's title and the screen, we got another list type article that we will be dissecting, of course. This is by Screen Rant, and this is 10 unpopular opinions about Naruto according to Reddit. Interesting. Reddit is a very intriguing place. Alright, that's all I'll say about that. But this is by Chloe Granoy, and let's see what this list entails. So, let's start with the beginning here. Naruto's ambitious story and big cast of unique characters has fans on Reddit divided with these controversial opinions about the series. Okay, let's go ahead and see what it entails. Spanning a combined 720 episodes between both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, as well as over 200 and counting episodes in Boruto, it's fair to say that fans have plenty of time to get to know and become attached to the characters within these series. The series has delivered many unforgettable moments and has left viewers with plenty of happy memories. Okay? That isn't to say the series is without its flaws though. Okay? As any anime, as users on Reddit have not hesitated to point out. Certain storytelling flaws, such as power creeping and underdeveloped characters, occasionally plague the show, while other aspects have received unfair criticism. Okay, we will be the judge of that, Screen Rant. Let's see. The filler episodes are enjoyable. Okay, let's see what they got to say. Reddit user The Lost Gremlin offered a controversial opinion when they said, "I really enjoyed the filler episodes, regardless of how silly or irrelevant they were to the main storyline. Considering the series ran for over 700 episodes, there are a high number of filler episodes across both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. That is most definitely correct. While they may not be all looked back on as iconic episodes, the filler episodes gave the big arcs time to breathe." Oh, that's debatable. I don't think it needs time to breathe. "And provided some light-hearted adventures that allowed viewers to get to know Konoha 11 much better. That being said, the sheer quantity of filler episodes felt excessive at times and served as aggravating distractions from the main plot line." Very well put, Chloe. Alright, so my opinion on this, the filler episodes are enjoyable. My overall answer would be no, because these filler episodes, in my opinion, did not aid the main storyline whatsoever. It was just more so a waste of time to me, to be honest with you. So I did not enjoy these filler episodes. In fact, many of them were pointless, and I would, most of the time, immediately skip them, right? There are very, very few that were even remotely good to me. That's one thing about Naruto that is, I guess you could say, somewhat of a hard take. The filler episodes were very dull, very boring, and very irrelevant to most individuals. And I would argue, a lot of them probably didn't even watch them. So, I disagree with this opinion. So, I guess you could say it's controversial. Most people, I would argue, would say they're not enjoyable. But this is not a bad opinion. Fillers are fillers, right? Let's continue on. Kisame deserved a better ending. Okay. Tasked with partnering up with quite possibly the most popular character in the entire series, Itachi Uchiha, Kisame had his work cut out for him while working with the Akatsuki. Okay? For this reason, it could have been easy for Kisame to be overlooked, but he still managed to make a big impact on fans. I agree. Redditor Killzer says, "I think Kisame was the coolest Akatsuki and deserved a much better last fight." Was the coolest Akatsuki member. Right, just being pedantic, but just to correct him. But while a final confrontation against Guy would have been enjoyable to see, Kisame's sacrifice kept vital information hidden away from the heroes. Most fans would agree that his death helped establish him as one of the most loyal members of the Akatsuki and served as a fitting conclusion for the character. Kisame deserved a better ending. I actually was satisfied with his ending due to his somewhat moral compass. He has some level of integrity, right? Because he did go to his death with the secrets within his mind. He'd rather die than give up information on, information of the Akatsuki, of Itachi, of himself, etc. So, in a way, he did have an honorable death. It was very honorable, and I believe it was very fitting of Kisame the more we learned of him, right? I do think he's one of the cooler characters in the Akatsuki, the aesthetic aspect of him, his personality, his abilities. Very cool character. As far as a better ending, I think this is a very fitting ending. I'm sure some people would want to see him go out on a shield, right? He kind of killed himself at the end with the sharks. But I know some people would say, well, I'd rather him just be beaten down and killed. I wanted to see it more stretched out. Well, in my opinion, this was a very fitting ending for Kisame. And I think he went out very honorably, to be quite honest. I think he went out very honorably. He definitely had his own moral compass, ironically, even though he was an Akatsuki member who was an organization of terrorism within the shinobi world. He did have some integrity, and he did get a very honorable ending. I would also add that maybe Itachi's moral compass rubbed off on him a little bit. I know Itachi was undercover, but maybe being around Itachi, who I would say is very wise, an individual, rubbed off on Kisame, right, and helped him develop this sort of moral compass. But I would say he always had it, right? When we get a backstory of him, he seemed to always have it, but I think it was more so developed when he was paired with Itachi. I think they complemented each other very, very well. It was a very good duo, one of the most respectable duos, not just power-wise, but character-wise. They both had a very good character, right? So this isn't very unpopular. I think there's individuals that would say, yeah, he should have had a better ending, where he gets more credit, right? Not this where he gets his ass whooped by 7th gate guy. I get it, but I think the way he went out narratively was very fitting. Let's continue on. Team 8 and 10 didn't need more character development. As Naruto and his classmates grow up throughout the show, it became easy to form an attachment with each member of the Konoha 11, and many people would have liked to see more of Team 8 and Team Shikamaru, Ino, and Toji as the show progressed. But user Vite123 disagrees, saying, I could care less about Team 8 and Team 10, and I'm fine with the amount of character development they already have. While it's true the show does revolve around Naruto and the events of his life, that doesn't mean the rest of the world isn't worth exploring. Seeing how these characters played a major role right up until the conclusion of the series, I disagree with this. I don't know if they played a major role up until the conclusion. It could have been worth spending more time with them. Okay, I actually agree with this. Now here's why, folks. Hear me out. When you have a bunch of characters that have a ton of character development, it oversaturates the anime to the point where it becomes boring, right? Because everyone is prioritized to the same extent. It just oversaturates the anime, meaning it becomes dull. And there's shows where that has happened and they don't do so well. What Naruto did very well is they gave some credit to most characters, but they prioritized, of course, Naruto, Sasuke, etc. Now, there'd only be two options here. To make Naruto 2,000 episodes, shitloads of episodes, so they have enough time and screen time and manga pages to develop each character, or they would be forced to focus less on the main characters and spread attention to each character evenly, which would probably not have us so invested in characters like Itachi, like Sasuke, like Naruto, like Kakashi, because the writers would have to give more time to these other characters. So I actually agree. I like the final product of Naruto for the most part. Is there characters that deserve some more character development? Absolutely. Characters like Kaguya, because she was an awful villain to end with, right? We had this amazing character in Madara, this all-time great anime character, but then the show's concluded by a dumbass villain like Kaguya. A dumbass villain. So yeah, some characters did need more development. However, Team 8 and Team 10, I don't think so. I think I'm fine with where it's at. I don't think they need to be more developed as characters. I'm fine with that. So I actually agree with this opinion, and I would say it's not very unpopular, to be honest. Arguably, there's no way to really tell unless you took a fucking poll or something and see the statistics about that. But I don't think it's very unpopular, to say the least. But let's continue on. Sasuke versus Deidara was a great fight. Okay. At the beginning of Naruto Shippuden, viewers were finally treated to the long-awaited commencement of the Akatsuki's plan to capture all the tailed beasts, While Dario would be successful in many clashes against the shinobi of the Leaf Village, he met his match when it came to what Sasuke could do. Many people believed the motivations of his fight felt forced, but Reddit user Joker Armageddon still found it entertaining. Unpopular opinion, I liked the Sasuke vs Deidara fight. And while it was a great example of a back and forth battle where each side used their brains to win, many fans felt Sasuke only won due to plot armor. Okay. This left a bitter taste in the mouths of many fans who long awaited the bout between the two. Who awaited the bout between the two? Never got that impression from the Naruto fandom. I don't think this is unpopular at all. I thought it was a good fight. Was it great? I don't know, but it was good. And if someone says it's great, I wouldn't be mad at that. Is it an all-time great? No, it's not. But it's a good fight. I mean, some people would say great. I don't think this is unpopular at all. As far as him having plot armor, the way it's concluded, okay, that's fair. He did fucking use a reverse summoning ability to survive and barely get out of there with his life. Okay, that's fair. Right. That was some plot armor there for sure. But however, I thought the fight was very good. And I don't think Deidara's motives were forced at all. Deidara is a character with great pride, right? And I think the way this was set up was very well done. Deidara, if you remember correctly, was recruited by Itachi, Sasori, and I believe Kisame, if I'm not mistaken. Or Kakashi, it was one of those two that were there. And Deidara had this great pride when it came to his art, right, as he always speaks of. However, Itachi gave him the worst beating of his life, right? Not physically, but mentally. As we can all remember, Deidara thought he had him wrapped around his snake or whatever centipede clay bomb, but Itachi played him like a fiddle with his genjutsu. And as soon as he figured out he was being genjutsu'd, he looked up at Itachi and said, holy shit, this guy is art. And immediately took that back and said, no, my art's the best. And he grew resentment for Itachi because of that. He grew a lot of resentment, and I believe it just amplified as time went on. And the very name Uchiha just triggers him, right? Itachi Uchiha, he's like, fuck that. So when he learned of his brother, I'm sure he wanted a piece of that. He wanted the satisfaction of killing an Uchiha, especially Itachi's brother, right? So I think the motives were perfectly set up, if I say so the least. I don't think they were forced at all. Deidara is that kind of person, a very prideful, a very expressive individual, right? Very expressive. And another point is I really like the aspect between Deidara and Sasori because they're kind of opposites, right? Deidara is this very expressive and animated kind of persona. Sasori is this very lax and chill kind of persona. So they complemented each other pretty well. I really like that. So yeah, overall, I have no problem with this at all. I don't think it's unpopular at all. And I don't think the motives were forced whatsoever, to be honest. But let's continue. Sakura obsession with Sasuke is understandable.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
Okay, let's read on. One of the largest gripes fans can find online about Naruto is Sakura's relentless pursuit of Sasuke, despite his closed-off nature. I used to think it was absolutely absurd that Sakura would still be in love with Sasuke after everything, says user American History X. Sasuke was a complex and disturbed individual, and both Sakura and Naruto recognized that more than I did. In retrospect, Sasuke was in need of emotional support, and Sakura was ready to provide that, no matter how many times he pushed her away. That being said, Sakura is often portrayed immaturely in her pursuit of Sasuke, which soured the relationship for many viewers and ultimately became a big missed opportunity. Sakura's obsession with Sasuke is understandable. I disagree, and here's why. Sakura is a bad role model for women. She decided to pursue a very toxic and, like this person said, disturbed individual rather than looking for an optimal partner. Cough, cough, Naruto, cough. So, her obsession for Sasuke is not understandable. right? It is not. And I don't think it's exactly logical to compare her obsession and Naruto's. Naruto was willing to do what it takes to bring him back, beat him down. Sakura, if you remember correctly, was willing to join with him when he left the fucking leaf. She basically said, fuck the leaf, I'll join you on your malicious and evil journey. Fuck the leaf. Fuck Naruto, fuck Kakashi, I'll join you because I simp for you. So no, her obsession is not understandable. When you look at this more in depth, it's not. It's not. She created many problems for Naruto, for Kakashi, for the Konoha 11. She drugged a couple individuals to try and kill Sasuke. I'm gonna bring him back, I'll do what it takes. And then she almost dies, and Kakashi and Naruto have to save her ass. Her obsession is unhealthy. It is not understandable. And that is the reason why she is disliked by many. And you know what I do think is fucking forced? Them being together. I really do. I think that's fucking forced. Sasuke didn't give a shit about this girl, but at the very end, all of a sudden he does. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. He had a kid with her. Make it make sense. It's not understandable. She was a burden to Naruto for years. Burden. To give her some credit, she did light a lot of fire for Naruto when she said, please bring him back. Right? That would motivate Naruto to grind and become what he is now. I do give her that credit. I give her some credit, but her obsession is not understandable. It is not. But I get it. They're their main characters, so they gotta end up together. I get it. I get it. I get it. But it is not understandable. I completely disagree. And overall, Naruto and Sakura's obsessions are not the same at all. They're not the same. So I disagree. And this, yes, is fucking unpopular. For sure. She is a simp. She's a bad role model for women. And overall, she was a burden for a long time. Maybe not now, but she was a burden for a long time. But let's continue. Neji was underpowered. Neji should have been essentially what Kakashi is. Not a god-level power, but capable enough to be a Hokage and useful in the endgame, says one Reddit user. If the Hyuga clan are the strongest of their village, Neji, as a prodigy of that clan, certainly wasn't demonstrated to be on that level you'd imagine him being. On the level you imagine him being, excuse me. It does feel jarring to see Neji repeatedly touted as a genius and the strongest wielder of the Byakugan, just for him to be sidelined during much of Naruto Shippuden. But he did manage to deliver many incredible moments in the original series as he progressed to becoming one of the most powerful protectors of the Leaf Village. Just because he didn't reach the same power levels as Naruto and Sasuke does not mean Neji wasn't a formidable shinobi in his own right. Alright, Neji was underpowered. I kind of disagree. I think more so he was undershown, right? He was not shown enough. This is the same dilemma with Rock Lee. I don't think he was shown enough either, right? My guy is much more respected by the Naruto fandom than Rock Lee, right? Neji was undershown. He was undershown. I don't ever think he was fodder. However, I know it looks bad when all Team Guy got their asses whooped by a 30% chakra clone of Kisame. That did look really bad. Neji was fodder, Rock Lee was fodder, Tenten just is fodder, period. And my guy had to go to the 6th gate to deal with that. I don't think he was underpowered, but I do get what this guy's saying. He's just saying this guy didn't get enough credit. I agree. There's a couple characters that should have got a little bit more credit. Maybe not to the extent of Naruto and Sasuke, but a little bit more. Neji and Rock Lee. I think they should have got more credit. They were touted as these amazing shinobi early on in Naruto, and they got their credit where they deserved it in the Chunin exams in the beginning of Naruto. They got it there, but later on, they kind of got tossed to the wayside. But it's kind of understandable. They had to introduce the Akatsuki, they had to give Sasuke his time, Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, etc. So, from the writer's perspective, I do understand why. But again, it would have been nice, of course, right? It would have been nice. And I don't think this is unpopular. I think a lot of people think Neji should have got more time to shine, so to speak. But let's continue on. Kakashi shouldn't have become Hokage. Okay? Before the show even begins, the time of the first, second, and fourth Hokages has already come and passed. It's interesting then that with so much emphasis put on the role, most people forget Kakashi ever even served as the sixth Hokage. Kakashi being the sixth Hokage was not relevant at all to any story. I much prefer if Tsunade just continued the Hokage role until Naruto was ready, says user dog1434. But while Naruto's ascension to one day becoming the Hokage felt like a foregone conclusion from the very beginning, he was not ready to accept the mantle right away, and most fans would agree that there was no better placeholder for the title than Kakashi himself. I actually tend to agree with this part. I don't really agree that he shouldn't have become Hokage. Kakashi was the epitome of what a Jonin should be, right? Jiraiya died, Tsunade was Hokage for a long time, so after the war arc, Kakashi was the optimal candidate. He was the optimal candidate. And I don't see anything wrong with him being Hokage. I kind of wish we could have seen more of that. Right? I wish we could have seen what happened in between Naruto Shippuden and Boruto. I would like to see his journey as Hokage. I think he was the perfect candidate. Right? Naruto wasn't ready yet. He was still young, still a little green with his new powers, with the six past powers, with him and Kurama bonding to such an extent where he can use KCM. And I think Kakashi was a great candidate. I just wish we could have seen more. And Dog1434, the only reason it wasn't relevant is because the writers didn't further expand on it, which I wish they would have. So I'll give you that. I wish they would have expanded on that. I get what you're saying, but he should have been Hokage. He was the perfect candidate for it, and I think it was the right choice. All right. It would have become redundant for Tsunade to continue being Hokage, in my opinion. She had her time. She had her time to shine in the war arc against Madara. I know she got clapped, but she had her little moments to shine here and there. And after that, it just makes sense to move on to the next. That being Kakashi, being a hero of the war, helping defeat Kaguya, etc. It makes sense. So I don't think he was irrelevant. I just think his story wasn't expanded on enough. So this is a little bit unpopular, but I get what they're saying. I'll give him that. I get what they're saying because there's not much on him as Hokage, right? Just jumps from Shippuden to Boruto where Naruto takes the mantle. I get it, but I think him becoming Hokage was the right choice. I do. Let's continue on. The Leaf Village shouldn't have been resurrected. Ooh, okay. And what many consider to be the best arc in the entire series, Pain's destruction of the Leaf Village was a high-stakes event that had fans on the edge of their seats. I agree. Watching everyone desperately attempt to slow Pain down and buy time for Naruto's return was an excruciating experience, except for the fact that it didn't matter. Everyone should have stayed dead when Pain invaded the village, says Reddit user Nimpone115. Admittedly, allowing Nagato to sacrifice himself to rewrite everything does slightly undermine the emotional impact of the final battle against Pain. Fair enough, but the Great Ninja War would never have been possible had the Leaf Village been remained destroyed, depriving fans of one of Naruto's most exciting story arcs. Now, I'll agree that Nagato simply resurrecting the entire Leaf did take away some of the emotional impact, right? It did take away some of the emotional impact. However, like they said, we would have been deprived of Kakashi, right? And we would have been deprived of the war arc. So there is that. I do get what this guy's saying, because the Talk No Jutsu, the famous Talk No Jutsu, has kind of undone a lot of things, right? A lot of things have been undone. Lots of things. They're not putting the nail in the coffin, right? They're kind of removing the nail from the coffin, so to speak, when they do shit like this. Naruto simply talking Nagato out of it kind of delegitimizes everything that happened prior. But then you could counter and say, well, the very battle that did ensue is what led to the Talk No Jutsu, right? So there's two sides to the coin. I do get what they're saying. It did take away some emotional impact. However, in my opinion, the Pain arc is still the best arc in Naruto. It was extremely polarizing up until the conclusion, right? With the conclusion probably being the most dull of parts due to the Talk No Jutsu. However, we would not have Kakashi, and I'm sorry, I love Kakashi. So fuck it. You know, to me, it's fuck it. If that's the way we're going to get him back, so be it. I don't want to see him dead. I don't. So, I do see what you're saying, though. And I honestly don't think this is that unpopular. I think a lot of people wanted to stay that way, to hold on to that emotional impact that they were feeling. So I don't think this is unpopular at all. I think a lot of people say this actually, right? If you're not a huge Kakashi fan, that is. If you are, they're gonna say no, absolutely, it should have been resurrected, right? Because we want Kakashi to stay alive. So, yeah. Next on, the final fight against Kaguya makes sense.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Oh God. This is already very... This one is already unpopular, just reading the fucking title. Possibly the most controversial decisions in Naruto history involved introducing a new main villain named Kaguya and swapping out the seemingly unbeatable Madara in the series' final episodes. Battling Kaguya made for a big spectacle, but it irritated many fans since he lacked the development Madara had built up since the beginning of Shippuden. But Redditor Randirth goes against the green and says, I think that Team 7 versus Kaguya as a final fight makes more sense than Naruto and Sasuke versus Madara. Well, Randirth, I wish you would have expanded on that more, and please explain how the fuck this dumb-ass character fighting Naruto and Sasuke is more fitting than Madara fighting them. I wish they would have had his explanation on here as well, because that just fucking mind boggles me. That's all I gotta say. Adding Kakashi and Sakura to the battle did help to bring things to first circle. However, the plot twist had essentially no setup and felt like a convenient way to remove Madara from the picture, robbing fans of the final battle they really wanted. However, to be fair, this last statement felt like a convenient way to remove Madara from the picture. I kind of disagree because Kaguya is way stronger than Madara, right? So it's not a convenient way. If she would have been weaker, I get it. This last statement just doesn't make sense to me. I'm just gonna be honest. She is stronger. So in fact, objectively speaking, as far as battle sense, she was a tougher opponent because she was stronger. But she's an awful character. Dumb as hell. Got defeated in a dumb way. And I think it really robbed us of an amazing ending. Madara should have been the last villain, man. Just give him an amp to this extent when he gets to 3 eyes. Right? When he gets to 3 eyes. 3-eyed Madara should have been the final villain. There should have been a extravagant and aesthetically pleasing battle between Madara and them. It's just her coming out of nowhere, like, come on, you know, it's just a slap to the face to me. So this fucking fight does not make sense. It doesn't make any sense. So simply saying I think that is not a good logical argument. That doesn't prove shit. It doesn't even give a good point. It does not make sense. Madara should have been the final villain. But yeah, this opinion is definitely unpopular, and I do not think it makes sense at all. At all. And I would argue 90+% would agree. It does not make any fucking sense. So this is most definitely unpopular. Moving on though. Naruto's speech skill isn't just plot armor, okay? A constant theme during Naruto's journeys is his ability to talk his enemies down from confrontation by appealing to their emotions and shared experiences in life. Some people see this as plot armor, most notably when Naruto convinces Nagato to change his ways and sacrifice his life to restore the Leaf Village. One Redditor said, "Talk no Jutsu doesn't bother me in most instances and actually fits the tone of the show and the character of Naruto." But while it does make sense for Naruto to try talking things out before fighting, it's not always the most exciting thing to watch and does often feel like a plot device to end things non-confrontationally. Right. This is what I would say about Naruto's Talk no Jutsu. It's not awful, but it especially hurts after an event like Nagato versus Naruto, or Pain versus Naruto. It just stings, man. After all that shit, all Naruto has to do is speak to you, and you completely have a 180 in your moral compass and your motives. It's just a little bit of a stretch, right? That one was the toughest pill to swallow. But Kakashi dying made me okay with it, to be honest. That's just my biases. However, the Jubito one made more sense. Jubito already had doubt coming in, right? When Naruto talked no Jutsu Jubito. Naruto was a mirror of what Obito once was, and what would have become if he never lost his resolve and his motives early on in his life. So the Talk no Jutsu actually made sense there. I was okay with that. He was a mirror of what Obito once was, right? He was a mirror of that. And there was already doubt established in his heart. And you could see it building up as time went on. He was trying to break Naruto's moral compass, to try to break his resolve, to try to break him, to get a satisfaction and say, yeah, I was right. But as he saw Naruto's convictions endure these tough times, it made him question himself and his own motives. He starts to question himself and say, wow, maybe there is hope. Maybe I shouldn't have washed down my convictions so easily, right? And Naruto, with the Talk No Jutsu, actually made sense. It actually made sense to me. So, this statement doesn't bother me in most instances. It's fair. And I do agree, it actually fits the tone. So, Talk No Jutsu can be a good thing sometimes, such as the instance with Jubito. However, there's times where it really hurts, like with the pain arc, right? That one did hurt a lot. I was like, what the fuck is this? He killed everyone for nothing? What the hell is this? Right? I do get that. So this is a two-sided, so it's a double-edged sword, really. His Talk No Jutsu is a double-edged sword. It does fit the tone sometimes, and sometimes it's just a tough pill to swallow. It really is. But I believe that was the last unpopular opinion, and I would say this one isn't very unpopular, I would say. But yeah, folks, this was the list. Wasn't a very bad list at all. Some of these opinions aren't very unpopular. Some of them are. But yeah, folks, let me know your thoughts on this list. I thought it was a pretty good list, actually, for once. One of the better lists that I have dissected. So I enjoyed it. And there's no comments to dissect here, unfortunately. But as always, hope you enjoyed. And get this video to 25 likes. And I'll try to bring something new. Maybe not a list next time. I'll try to bring something new next time. But that's going to wrap it up. If you guys have any recommendations for future videos or for things for me to dissect, as I always say, please let me know. But this is Jay the Great signing out. Catch you in the next one, and stay classy.